1, go!
We got playoff match number 11 underway. Red Alliance Robots just going at it on that level 4 of the Red Alliance Reef. Meanwhile, on the Blue Alliance, we have Team 9408. That's the Warbots working on some algae up in the net for the Blue Alliance. Red Alliance is going to take the lead coming out of auto here, but only by 15 points, so it's anyone's game. Bulldogs putting up a piece of algae up into the net, but Jack in the Bot and Poofs, as well as their third partner, Iron Claw, also putting one up each as well, bringing the net game up neck and neck for the Red and Blue Alliance. Both Blue Alliance currently with 8 pieces of algae up top, Red with 8. Very close match here as well. Red with a slight lead. They're maintaining that around 15-point advantage from the autonomous period, consistently working on that reef. Jack in the Bot with another piece of algae, heading on over to the red side of the net, not quite getting it in as their alliance partners continue to work on Coral. 254 with a level 2 score. Iron Claw looking for level 4, not quite getting it in. 581 Bulldogs for Blue, dropping off a piece of algae up into the net. It also looks like there is some algae stuck in the inside of the Blue Alliance Reef. That's 4 points off the table for either alliance, meaning that all the algae available on field is already up in the net. So it's just Coral, Coral, Coral. Both alliances working to fill up their reefs as much as possible. 254 dropping off their last level 4 piece of Coral for the Red, now working on that trough. There's still one empty level 2, which Iron Claw is going to get. Meanwhile, on the blue side, they've already filled up the entire reef as well, now working on the trough. Both alliances just going at it on that trough. Iron Claw picking up 2 pieces of Coral, dropping one. Looks like it might have gotten stuck, but now they're reoriented, heading on over to the reef to try to score into that trough. 9408 Warbots dropping off a last-minute piece of Coral into that trough as teams head on over to climb. Just a 2-point differential as all 6 robots up in the air as the timer buzzes. Your unofficial score shows an advantage of 2 in favor of the Blue Alliance, but we'll be back with official results in just a moment. We have your scores coming up on the screen. The Blue Alliance pulling off an upset victory, 271 to 269. Alliance number 6 advancing to our finals. Alliance number 1 dropping into our lower bracket where they will fight through the other competing alliances for another chance at finals. They're going to be playing the winner of match number 12, which is between alliances 8 and 3, and the winner of that match will be heading over to finals as the Blue Alliance. Now over to the RSN desk for a breakdown of this match.
So both alliances filling the reef there, mostly all getting the algae up. One algae stuck in the blue alliance reef, but one thrown over by red. So algae making the difference in that match. One more score for the blue alliance there, taking it by 2 points.
Yeah, this was a crazy match that was reminiscent of all those high-level matches we were seeing at Champs, and I think it really showed that this game, when you were playing at a high level like this, you need to be so cognizant of all of those small mistakes, right? Like, so we see the blue alliance with one more algae in the net, and we see that there was a little hiccup with 2910 placing that L1, swiped a couple of them off. That's a really tough thing to deal with, but it's something that as you're playing in that super high-paced level of the match is going to happen sometimes. But when you have these two teams, these two alliances that are so well matched up against each other, it really can come down to something as small as that.
This is definitely a game of very small little things making a difference. You know, here we can see that the Red Alliance actually did score more coral in auto, and so that bonus did keep the match a little bit closer, just 2 points being the difference in the end, with all 6 robots climbing.
Yeah, and I think seeing the Blue Alliance, there was a couple notes that I had written. Watching 604, something that they had struggled a little bit with in the past was tossing that algae up over the net. They had been working on it, doing it so quickly, and they really wanted to accelerate that process, that when you have a net that has 5, 6, 7 pieces of algae in it, you can kind of toss it up and over. It can hit one of those pieces of algae and bounce up over the net. And then you're essentially feeding it to your the opposing alliance. This match, they learned from that. They were much slower and smoother with it, and they had much cleaner. Again, with 581, we talked a little bit about their autos and how impactful that center auto was going to be during qualification matches. And here you can see that they've got it on lock and they can run it. And it paired with 604 and 9408, they're really able to push through and have like really great scores coming out of auto. You know, Red Alliance put up 75 points. The Blue Alliance putting up 60 points in auto, which was pretty crazy.
But it's the whole match together. So Blue Alliance able to even outscore in terms of total scoring elements, scoring 4 more than the Red Alliance over the course of the entire match. Teams have really picked up their precision. We're seeing way fewer net algae throws over to the other side. So every little thing counts. All 6 robots getting up at the end of the match as well, something that we really weren't seeing during qualifications. So teams are pretty close to dialed in, and this game at the edges, there's just no room for error.
Alliance 6 has already progressed to the finals, so we'll be seeing them there, but don't count out Alliance 1. They'll be playing again in match 13 in the lower bracket. But let's take a look at our next match and what we have coming up in match 12.
Match 12, we have got a matchup with the 3 seed against the 8 seed. We've seen both of these alliances play some pretty dynamic matches. The 3 seed breaking out that all algae on one side of the field match. Perhaps we could see it again.
Yeah, with the Blue Alliance here, we know that Brett incredibly good at scoring coral. The rest of their alliance has been keeping up with them and reaching out, and I think that their ability has really just grown over the course of this. Chaos Theory, we talked about them again. You see them up in the P&W. Steve, what do you think of them?
Really consistent. They're the kind of team that can just take almost a full half of the reef and score all those coral because they just have a very consistent cycle and their elevator is very fast. And their climb is impeccable. I don't know how many times they've actually not been counted for the deep climb. So you know what you're getting out of 5468, and that is exactly the kind of partner you want on your alliance.
Yeah, and we talked about this 8-seed alliance earlier, where they were, they just went up against the high caliper, took out the number 2 alliance, and you could see them finding a really good rhythm with this new strategy of having them all go to the coral station. So it'll be interesting to see. They'll have even further learnings on that I think will translate over well to this next match as they work their way trying to pick down all of the different alliances, make their way to the finals.
And with that, we'll throw it over to the field to introduce the teams to this next match.
All right, we got match number 12 on deck here. These two teams